Hello, everyone. Nice to see you again. Welcome to another edition of Larissa's videos coming to you from my home. Today, I wanted to do a little review for social studies, okay? So, over the weekend, you should have watched this video on YouTube about the arrival of Hernan Cortes and the conquistadors to Mexico, or to the Aztec center of Tenochtitlan. And so what I'm going to do today is just go over some of the main points of that video and review the questions that you should have been working on. So just going to present my screen now and share this information with you, okay? So everyone, here. Arrival of Hernan Cortes and the Conquistadors. So, first of all, who is Hernan Cortes? Well, Hernan Cortes was a Spanish explorer and he went on an expedition to Mexico, okay? And so, why did he go exploring? Well, very simply, he wanted to discover new places. He really, really wanted to obtain gold and to take over new territory. Um, so, as you saw in the video, there was some differences between the Aztec and Spanish military. So hopefully you were kind of taking note of these while you were watching. So the Aztec military resources, they have mostly wooden weapons, crossbows, bows and arrows, war clubs, wooden spears, and cotton armor. And they mostly fought on foot. Whereas the Spanish, they had all of their steel weapons, okay? So guns, cannons, swords, metal armor. They also had horses. So if you were to make a prediction, you might think that the Aztecs might have been a little outmatched by the Spanish, potentially. Moving on. So, who is Moctezuma? Well, he was the Aztec emperor, or the leader of the Aztecs. And so, what did he do when the Spanish arrived? So, well, when the Spanish arrived, the Aztec people, they had a tradition of welcoming people and giving them gifts. And so, when the Spanish arrived, this was no different. Moctezuma welcomed the Spanish, gave them gifts. And so, this was just a sign of respect, and this was just how they treated all visitors to their nation. However, that being said, his advisors, they weren't as trusting of the Spanish. They believed that the Spanish were raiders, and they thought that they were there to take over their city. And so his advisors, they didn't want him to allow them to enter their city. But of course, we know that Moctezuma allowed them entry to their nation. And so that kind of led to some of the things we see later when they interacted. So do you think that Moctezuma made the right decision? Well, I don't really believe Moctezuma made the right decision. His advisors were correct. The Spanish were there to take their valuables and take over their territory. So Moctezuma's trust in the Spanish led to a great war between the Aztecs and Spanish, where many people were killed. And it inevitably actually led to the defeat of the Aztec peoples. Okay. So, what were three of the actions that Hernan Cortes took that put him in a positive position to battle with the Aztecs? Well, Hernan Cortes, he made alliances with other tribes that were enemies with the Aztecs. They were able to give him information, and so he was able to prepare before he entered into Tenochtitlan. So, Hernan Cortes, he also had a translator that allowed him to communicate with the Aztecs and with the other Spanish people. With the other people in Mexico. The Spanish also had advanced weaponry that would allow them to defeat the Aztecs. Hernan Cortes also pretended to form a relationship with the Aztecs, and then he took Moctezuma prisoner, which put them in a positive position, allowing them to take over the Aztecs. Hernan Cortes also made sure to eliminate any competition from other Spanish explorers. He went and attacked or killed them before they could try to claim the Aztec territory for themselves. And so that is just some quick key points of the video that you guys watched. As an extension of that, what we're also going to read together today is this. So if you turn to page 215 in your textbook, here. So our key question for chapter 10, this is starting chapter 10. So how might differences in worldview contribute to the dominance of one culture over another? So this question is just thinking about the Spanish versus the Aztecs. So how do the differences in their worldview contribute to who is basically going to become, who is going to defeat the other? Who, yeah. So here we go. We're going to read through this together, and this is just kind of a precursor to what some of the things that we saw in the video. So in 1519, merchants traveling in the far reaches of the Aztec Empire had brought rumors to the emperor, Moctezuma, about the arrival of strangers on the coast. So Moctezuma, he was in Tenochtitlan. He heard about these strangers that were on the coast. And so Moctezuma had just spent a sleepless night. He was in his palace awaiting the arrival of his council of nobles and priests. He needed to discuss a grave situation with them. Several months ago, Moctezuma had sent officials to investigate reports of mysterious strangers in nearby territories. Now, the officials had returned, bringing stories of men in odd clothing and sailing boats as big as the mountains. They rode animals that looked like giant deer, and they carried sticks that shot fire. They were gathering supporters from surrounding tribes and heading toward Tenochtitlan. So, who are these strangers? What did they want of the Aztecs? Should Moctezuma welcome them into his empire or send his army against them? So think for yourself. If you were Moctezuma, what would you do? Would you have welcomed them, or you have sent your army against them? What would you have done? He had to decide quickly. The strangers and their allies would soon be entering the Valley of Mexico. In the end, Moctezuma decided to send a small group of Aztecs to greet the strangers and give them valuable gifts, including a mask made of turquoise and a fan of quetzal feathers. Surely these gifts would please them. So, based on what you've learned about Spanish Aztec society, what aspects of technology, religion, and culture do you think might affect the meeting between them? So, what aspects of Aztec society you think kind of influenced Moctezuma's decision? Why do you think he decided to greet them as opposed to sending his army? Why do you think? That's a good question. And then, what aspects of the Spanish worldview kind of led them to this desire to conquer the Aztecs? These are kind of questions that we're going to think about as we look at what happens when they interact. Okay. So this is the end of our little introduction for today. We'll be meeting to discuss some more about the meeting between the Aztecs and the Spanish on Wednesday. Look forward to talking to you about it then. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my presentation. And okay, thanks so much, everyone. We'll talk to you again later. Okay, bye.